About 11 months ago, I, 32 male, went on a trip to Jamaica with my wife, Kelly, 32 female. We hadn't been on a trip in a while, and she wanted us to go anywhere that was in the Caribbean, so we chose Jamaica. We don't go on trips very often, but I can very easily say that it was one of the best trips that I've ever been on. It was a beautiful country with amazing beaches, fantastic food, and so many fun things to do. We said that we would have to go back, and she was happy to hear that I liked it as much as she did. I thought we had enjoyed the same things in the time that we were there, but I learned that she had a different experience than I did in some ways. On one of the days that we were there, I told her that I wanted to visit a cigar store that I had learned wasn't too far off. I wanted her to come with me, but because she doesn't smoke, she had absolutely no interest in coming. It wasn't a day that we were meant to do anything, so it wasn't as if I chose to change the plan all of a sudden. I let her know that we could do something else that she wanted, but she insisted that she didn't want to tag along. So I went with the fellow tourist I had met on the trip, who had told me about the cigar store. We went together, along with his wife, and we had a great time. When we got back, I asked Kelly what she had done while I was out, and she had said she only had gone out to take a walk, but she had stayed inside for the rest of it. There was no need for me to think any more of it. I apologized for leaving her alone in the hotel, and that was it. She said it wasn't a big deal. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is that it is important if you want to understand the discovery of my wife being unfaithful. For the most part, she handles our mail. Instead of alternating household chores, we've assigned them permanently. I hate doing the laundry and she doesn't mind it, so she takes care of that. I really don't mind washing the dishes if there's music playing, so I take that. I don't particularly hate sorting through the mail and bills, but she's better with numbers than I am, so that's one of the things that just ended up on her plate. However, just because we've assigned the things in this way doesn't mean that there are occasions when we do the other person's chores out of convenience. That was what happened the day that I chose to sort through the mail myself. Typically, everything addressed to me gets put into a stack and she gives it to me to open, simply for formality. I did the same thing, piling all her mail into a stack so that I could give it to her when it was time. However, something jumped out at me, and it was a letter that didn't have a return address, but the postage stamp was from Jamaica. Neither of us has any family or friends in Jamaica. As far as I knew, us going there was us going to a country that we had zero connections in, like a lot of other people. We had also been there nearly a full year ago, so it made no sense to me why she'd be getting mail from that country. I was tempted to open it, but I chose not to, because that felt like I would be prying. I would ask her what it was about, because she didn't tell me that she had made any friends there. I also didn't like the fact that there wasn't even a return address on it. When I gave her the mail, I didn't say anything, but I watched carefully. I knew that it was the third one from the top of the stack I gave her, so when she got to the third envelope, she looked up at me suddenly, met my eyes, and then quickly looked back. It was at that point that I knew there was something she was hiding, because her reaction was too suspicious. I really battled over asking her what was going on, because I had no reason to jump to a conclusion of her cheating, but I didn't want to give her the chance to cover anything up. I think I gave her the benefit of the doubt though. She's my wife, so as a good husband should do, I decided to just communicate instead of concocting explanations that could have been super far from the truth. I noticed that you have a letter from Jamaica. That was what I said. I didn't think I had to ask anything after that, because she was meant to explain it. At least, that's what I assumed would happen in natural conversation. She just mumbled, "Yeah," and then changed the subject. I brought her back and asked her why she was getting letters from Jamaica. She didn't say anything for a bit, acting like she was reading the letter in her hand. I knew at that point that she hadn't rehearsed a story for if she got caught. However, when she spoke, she told me that she had been trying to plan a surprise for me. She said she could have gotten caught over email, so she decided to be more old school with it. She even laughed, and it really didn't seem natural. The problem was that the story itself didn't make sense. I asked her what the surprise was, but she had said that she couldn't tell me because it wouldn't be a surprise if she did. But she assured me that I would find out soon enough. I had never been more suspicious of anyone in my life, but I acted like I bought her story because I wasn't going to help me if I put her on her guard. I decided that I was going to need to find out what she kept in those letters after opening them, because her letters typically don't go straight into the trash. However, in this case, since these letters had something she didn't want me to see, I acknowledged that they might have gone into the garbage, and if that was the case, I likely wouldn't be able to recover them. But in the little time that I had, I would go through all the typical hiding spots at home, trying to see if there was a place that she was storing them. Before I could find the letters, I think about a month later, she came home with a package that was wrapped up like it had been freshly delivered. She handed it to me and told me that it was the surprise she had intended for me. When I opened it, I saw it was a box of cigars from Jamaica. I hadn't ever mentioned a specific brand to her, and she hated to see me smoke. But for some reason, she bought me Jamaican cigars and had them shipped over. I was excited about it, but at the back of my mind, something just wasn't right. I didn't give her any reason to suspect that I was anything less than ecstatic. Before I went to sleep that night, I was thinking, and it occurred to me that she might have only bought the cigars to actually fulfill the surprise that she had told me she was planning for me. If I hadn't asked her about the letter, she never would have bought any cigars. That was the conclusion that I was going to reach, and I'm sure she thought it was going to help her get me off her scent. It just made me more suspicious because I know Kelly, and spontaneous surprises like that aren't her forte. After that, I told myself the next time that she was out of the house and I had hours to myself, I was going to search literally everywhere that I could to see if she kept the letter she received anywhere. When she went out the following weekend, I started by searching the bedroom. I checked literally everywhere that I could think of, and finally, with a little luck, I found what I was looking for. I had chosen to check one of her old purses that was zipped up and stored in a box under the closet. When I unzipped it, I found a bundle of opened envelopes inside, and I pulled them all out to read. Every single one of them was from Jamaica, and they started coming in about 2 months after we had come back from our trip. She had at least one for every month, with 2 for some months. When I read through the letters, it became painfully evident to me that I was looking at love letters. I didn't have the ones she sent, which was sad, but these ones were being sent from a guy who she had met in Jamaica named Kamar. From what I could understand from his love letters, of which there were 13 of them, and his references to letters that she had sent earlier, they had met during the trip to Jamaica, and they had shared one day together. I assumed it was the day that I went out for cigars because it was the only space that she could have had unless she snuck out when I was sleeping, and I was sure that wasn't the case. She had cheated on me on a vacation that we took together, which was bad enough because trips like that are supposed to be a good time to get closer to one another, but she chose to get closer to someone else. And then what made it unforgivable was that she had apparently fallen in love with him. From the letters, he knew she was married, and he admitted being unhappy in his own marriage. Apparently, Kelly had shown him something that he didn't remember that he could feel. They talked about meeting again at some point in the future, and that part just shattered me. The whole thing left me heartbroken because I knew that she was hiding something, and I'd be stupid to say that infidelity didn't cross my mind. It crossed my mind, but there had been no reason for me to think that it was as bad as what I was reading. I remember just sitting on the bed with the letters in front of me and feeling so hopeless. Something that I thought was going to be my life for the rest of my life had just fallen apart. I knew that there was no room for forgiveness, as much as my heart wanted to forgive her and just act like it never happened. I don't like change, and I don't like change as brutal as realizing you need to end things with your own wife who cheated on you. But I was going to do the right thing. I took a picture of all the letters and uploaded them to my Google Drive so that they'd be safe regardless of what happened to my phone. I wanted to confront her, but I chose not to do that right away. Instead, I realized that the only time I needed to confront her was when I was about to hand over the divorce papers. So I met with a divorce lawyer as soon as I could, told him everything that had happened, and he advised me that I was approaching it in the best way, as it would give her the least amount of time to hide assets or anything of the sort. When the papers were ready, I waited for a day when she got back home, and she was in a good mood, and I told her that I needed to talk to her. I thanked her for the gift of cigars, and I asked her why she had chosen to surprise me with no special occasion. She said that she didn't need a special occasion to do something nice for me, and she just did it to appreciate me as a great husband. I took that in for a bit. I really wished that it was something she actually meant. I asked her why she had been corresponding over regular mail instead of through a digital method, and she said that she had told me already that it was just her way of keeping things under wraps. It was a stupid excuse, and I told her that. She was taken aback by my sudden aggressiveness. I told her that I knew the truth and I was going to give her a chance to admit it herself, because that would show that she had some integrity. She said that she didn't know what I was talking about. I told her that she did, and she had the one chance. She said she would answer me, but she had to go pee first. She got up and started going to the bedroom, probably to check if I had touched the letters. I told her as she went that if she entered the bedroom, it was over. She came back. She continued to maintain that she knew nothing about what I was talking about. I was tired of her lying, so I asked her to explain the letters that I had seen in the room. I could see as her body language instantly changed. It was like she deflated the moment she realized that she was truly caught. Then it went to the usual, "I can explain." According to her, she wasn't denying the letters or that she had sent her own in return, but according to her, it was basically just role-playing. Nothing had happened between the two of them, and she had agreed to the whole thing because it seemed exciting. It was like the kind of thing that happened in a romance novel, and she just wanted the kind of excitement in her life, even if it wasn't real. "It doesn't say anything about the way I feel about you. I still love you." I told her that she was still lying to me by trying to act like the whole thing was them just messing around. They had one night together, and it was too descriptive for me to believe that it was something they had made up. I told her that even if it was the case, she had emotionally cheated on me, and very intensely at that. But I didn't believe it. She had emotionally and physically cheated on me, and I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to let that go and forgive her. I asked her if she understood that we were going to get a divorce. She acted like she didn't understand. She started to cry, and she said it didn't need to go that far. She said she'd fix things, and she'd be the best wife to me. She said she would make up for it in every possible way. She just kept rattling things off, and she seemed genuinely panicked the moment she realized everything was about to crash and burn. I didn't say anything about everything that she said, and instead, I just handed her the divorce papers. I admitted to her that I had known for some time there was nothing to fix between us anymore. I told her that she could go and be with him since he was willing to leave his wife for her. But I gave her advice and let her know that men who said things like that typically liked the idea of in theory, but don't actually like it when it happens. The chance that he'd leave his wife for her, even if his wife was a pain in the neck, was slim. She spent the next 2 days in the house until I kicked her out. Throughout the days up until she left, she begged and cried, but I wasn't moved by any of it. I'm glad to have her out, but I'm going to have to get into the actual divorce soon, and I'm not looking forward to the stress and venom of that process. I know it isn't going to be easy, but I'll make it through and bring an update once it's over. Cheating spouses deserve the worst though, and I'll do my best to make sure she gets the worst. Update. This is the continuation of my post about my now ex-wife, who was sending love letters to a man that she cheated on me with in Jamaica. We are now officially divorced, thank goodness, and I'm able to move on with my life for good. This should be the only update I'll need to give. The divorce process was relatively straightforward. We were able to get things settled in the negotiation phase, thankfully, so I didn't need to waste too much of my life on something that isn't worth any more. I kept the house, and it'll be refinanced so that she gets her cut from the current value. I'm not going to be paying her any alimony. We have also agreed that she can take larger items of her choice from the house, with the exception of a few. I expected she'd be out to make my life hell during the divorce, but thankfully she wasn't. Unfortunately for her, I wasn't going to end things there. It was clear that she was remorseful for her actions, but it came way too late. It only came when I caught her. She would have kept things going. It wasn't a one-night stand that she had buried, but an ongoing thing that she never would have told me about. I was actually able to find the man that she slept with because she had followed him on Facebook, and after the whole mess, I guess she never unfollowed him. From his profile, I was able to find his wife, and I sent her a message right away. I explained the situation, including a picture of one of his letters, since I was sure that she'd be able to recognize his handwriting. It took her 3 days to reply, but when she did, she was clearly broken about it. I started to regret having said anything, but I chose not to let her live in ignorance. Apparently, they had 2 kids together. She thanked me and said she'd take care of it. I don't know if she's going to let it slide or not, but I don't care. I've done my part. As for Kelly, my ex-wife, she comes from a very religious family. Her parents are the most intense Catholics that I've ever met. She isn't on the same level, though she's still religious, and still cheats on the person she's married to despite that. I chose to expose her to only her parents because I didn't care for the mess that had come from having to expose her to everyone. Her folks knew we were divorced, but I was sure she hadn't told them the truth. So I did. I went over to their house to see them. I let them know that I was coming, and I told them everything, including showing them the pictures of the letters that their daughter had received. I made it very clear that it wasn't just about the one time they slept together, but the fact that she had caught feelings for the man and kept their thing going on even nearly a year after the trip. Her mom was appalled. Her dad just kept shaking his head in disappointment. Her parents hate divorce, and they had no input in ours, or they would have tried to keep up altogether. But I think they understood where I came from when I divorced their daughter. I told them that they had to know the kind of child they had. Her mom kept apologizing to me, but I let her know that it wasn't her fault. Her dad saw me to the door, and even though he didn't apologize, his face showed that he felt bad about the whole thing. Kelly had called me crying just hours later. She said that I didn't have to involve her parents. She said that she had never involved my parents in any of the fights that we had had. I told her that I had never done anything to her that my parents would be ashamed to know. She had chosen to be a cheater, and it was just a part of the consequences. I refused to give her the power to tell lies and it made me look bad. I hung up on her after saying that. So that was basically it for us. We've talked only a few occasions after then, relating to the house. But yeah, besides that, I think she's out of my life for good, and I'm ready to move on. Really? Who cheats on pen pal form anymore? She wanted the drama of a romance novel, but she forgot she was already married to a real person. Her surprise cigars was literally the worst cover story since the dog ate my homework. Gifted you a box of smokes while she was busy burning the marriage. And then it was just role play, and the same breath begging for forgiveness. Translation, I want the warm fuzzy of being desired while keeping all the perks of home. Classic narcissism. She didn't regret cheating. She regretted getting caught. If you hadn't found the stash of letters, she'd still be playing Island Pen Pal while calling you the best husband to your face. What do you think? And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.